one of the important tasks that I wanted to perform this weekend that looked seriously compromised due to the math league competition and the tour of the ASU and not having two cars was an important one, and that was this, a haircut. I desperately needed a haircut, and I did finally get it. I checked in at the haircutting place online. It said that there was one person checked in ahead of me. When I got there, there were 4 people checked in ahead of me. And 2 people were online checked in ahead of me, and 2 people who were in store checked in ahead of me. And which I thought the whole point of checking in online was that you stayed ahead of the people who came in after you. And since there was only one person ahead of me online, why were there 2 ahead of me online? And why is it that one of them who was ahead of me came in after, or actually was listed after me, and came in after me and got in first? And the people who were in the store got caught. I hate that. I said, what is the point of doing this if you're not going to either do it by the order you arrive or by the order you check in? But instead, it was just basically random. Anyway, that's done with for another 8 months. And, cut it a little close there, guy. So at lunch today, I took the opportunity to zip over to Gino's East. Now, just to give you that probably one more time, Phoenix, for some reason, is suddenly a destination for Chicago pizza places. So, starting off, actually several years ago, a place called Uno's opened up, and that was one of the famous, and it didn't last too super long, and then it was gone for years. And then another big famous one, Luminati's, which we've already reviewed, and then Giordano's, which is another one, opened up. We've also reviewed them. And finally now the 3rd or 4th, or however you want to look at it, Gino's East, and that's open, and I had lunch there today, and I have to say the service was pretty lackluster. The place is kind of off-putting. It's a nice enough restaurant, but they only have like 3 parking spots that aren't valet. It's complimentary valet, but complimentary valet means giving the son of a bitch a tip anyway. And my car keys cost $300 or $400 to replace. The hell I'm handing them over to some monkey. So, not too keen on that, but I was able to get one of the 3 spots. I went in, ordered a pizza. They warned me. The waiter, who mumbled, basically said, just so you know, it does take 45 minutes to an hour for a pizza to be... It took like an hour and 10 minutes for this pizza to be prepared. And that was a long time. That was enough for me to eat a whole salad. And I don't like eating whole salad. I don't like eating salads, but I figured I needed it, which of course just adds to the ridiculous amount of the cost. So what do I think of the pizza? Well, all right, here's my thought. Some things stand out. One, I had an Italian sausage pizza. They had 3 kinds of sausage. One was Italian sausage, one was spicy sausage, and the other one was sausage patty, which is only available on their deep dish pizza. Now, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what a sausage patty is, but do they mean an actual, like, Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage? Because that sounds revolting. I mean, I love a good breakfast sausage, but I would never think of putting it on pizza. So anyway, I ordered the Italian sausage, and he said, okay, so you want a sausage? I want an Italian sausage. And he's, oh, Italian sausage. It's like, okay, you got 3 different kinds on there. What would I have gotten if I hadn't? Anyway, I didn't like it. In fact, I'm not convinced it was Italian sausage. It might be breakfast sausage. 2, the cheese was fine. The sauce, for people who don't like a lot of sauce, will go away and stop trying to eat Chicago pizza. That's the way it's made. It has an unusually long bake time. You have to put the sauce on top, and you have to put more sauce on there to keep it from burning. It's just the way it is. You have to do it. If you don't like sauce, this is not the pizza for you. Don't complain about it, just don't eat it. You're only allowed to complain about pizza when they put vegetables on it. Then you can complain, because that's just twisted. Anyhow, cheese was fine, nothing spectacular. The sauce was very interesting. If you ever make a tomato sauce from scratch, you will know that the best way to control the flavor is to add the sugar. And yes, pretty much all tomato sauces have sugar put in them because tomatoes are quite tart. And the difference between a pasta sauce and a tomato sauce, or tomatoes, is pretty much that sugar. And all tomatoes have a different acidic quotient, whatever we want to call it. So if you're doing it right, you add a little sugar and you taste it, and you add a little sugar, and it's almost like magic. There's this amazing tipping point where it goes from tomatoey almost instantly to pasta sauce flavored. Now, if you can do it, if you can nail that teeter-totter point right in the middle, to me that is the best tomato sauce. It's the only time I like a little tomato flavor, is right there, is when you can get it just on that edge. And it's pretty hard to do because, as I say, all tomatoes are different. So I like a pizza place that can do that. Now, this place was kind of like that, except it was almost like they put 2 sauces on it. And that one was the tomato locked teeter-totter, and the other one was on the sweeter end of it. It was a very odd, it was almost like you were taking 2 things at once and they weren't mixed together. That's a fascinating accomplishment, and that part I applaud. And then finally the crust, which apparently is made with cornmeal because it is yellow and cornmealy, which I wasn't expecting. And surprisingly, when it was under the cheese and when it was under the sauce and the sausage, it actually added quite an interesting flavor to it, and I would consider it to be enjoyable. However, when you get out to the edge, then no, that's not good at all. That's just throw it away. So, all in all, I'm not, certainly for those prices, it was a good $15 for a pizza that big. But anyhow. So, that's my review, or at least my impromptu review. I'm not gonna be rushing back anytime soon. I might try one of their thin crust pizzas, so I'm not frustrated by the incredibly long wait time, and also get a better chance to try that sauce again, and this time with proper pepperoni. I just went with the Italian because that's more of a Chicago thing.
Yay! Look at this beautiful omelet.
Mm-hmm.
She did it! Yay! Yeah.
This one looks like a little poo. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like a little poo. It looks like a little orange slice.
Yeah, it is an orange slice.
Yeah, okay, well, why does that one look like a poo? I'm gonna go with this one because he's like got this big old stupid happy face.
I think that's mango. Ow.
I'm back on the sofa again. This time because of the cold. I hate this.
We're at Michelle's high school. They're having academic awards night, and well,
she's deserving of academic awards. And in fact, a text message from her just came in saying it's starting soon. So we're gonna head on in.
Michelle Glover. Esther Pham.
什么用啊？
I have been enormously reticent in shooting videos the last couple of weeks. So, despite the fact that my voice is failing me, I'm going to try to remedy that on the way home today. So, let's go home. I love the backup camera. I really love the backup camera. But you still can't see around longer cars that are parked next to you, so you still have to kind of back up slowly, and it's not wide enough. I think I would improve the backup camera with 2 additional cameras that are facing left and right to give you a better view. Anyway, so to give you our story of this week, nothing really happened. Chuan's car is back in the shop. That happened last week. And that's because that damn transmission, the rebuilt one, is still not working. So we had to talk with the mechanic, and once again, the mechanic is not responsible for the part. These part supply people are responsible for the part. And, you know, he gets stuck with the sappy job of taking it out and sending it back to them, demanding that they fix it. Anyway, so this time they've sent our old transmission to them, and they're going to rebuild that one. So that's what's happening now, but that's going to take even longer. And Chuan's leaving for Taiwan next week. I'm worried we won't get the car back before she's gone. There's another sneeze waiting to happen in this stomach, and in my nose. My stomach? I don't know where that came from. Sorry, that's a bit gross. But I'm not going to cut it out because, that's life. And yesterday, Michelle went to her honors ceremony for her freshman year, and that was all nice. She got her certificate. Freshmen get certificate. Second year get, I think, a letter, like a letterman's letter, I think, and then they start getting bars and stuff for it. So if she continues on, that'll be great. I expect her to continue on, but you know, she'll just keep getting more and more cool stuff. And that's about it. I mean, that's how bad this week has been, and last week, just nothing. I will tell you a story though, because Chuan's car is in the shop. I'm having to shuttle them around, and because it's the end of the school year, I think Chuan's school is out Monday and Michelle's is out Tuesday, or maybe vice versa. Michelle's is out Monday and they're out Tuesday anyway. Why it's not out on a Friday, I don't know. So yesterday when we stopped to, I picked up Chuan and James at the school, and Michelle's school is about a mile away from there, so it only takes 5 minutes. But there was a 35-minute wait. to get there because Michelle wouldn't be out of school yet. And so we went over to a Wendy's, and James had a Frosty and a chicken sandwich, and Irene, I think, just had a Frosty. I had nothing, and we were sitting there at the table, and honestly, we were all playing on our phones. Joanne was reading news, and I was reading news, and James was playing a game. But we were just killing some time. And there was this couple over to my right, and they were probably in their 60s. And then there was this woman sitting a table away that was talking with them. And I kind of got the impression that these people didn't know each other. That she was or they had started a conversation with each other. And there was some conversations about people demanding more money, so they were probably bitching about minimum wage laws, and then there was also something going on about Trump or crooked politicians. So maybe they were talking about Hillary. I mean, you never can tell what the political leanings are. And I wasn't really paying any attention. I did catch something when they were talking about the fees, where the woman at the table said, "Well, Jesus never needed a pay raise or worried about money." And I thought, oh, if only I were the type of person that liked to butt into conversations. I would remind her that being a street preacher and a con man doesn't actually require that you work for a living. It just requires that you con people out of their money. And but I thought, no, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. And then the guy, well, so then they stopped talking, and I'm sitting there reading the news, and I hear, "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me," and I hear this about 5 times. And it's about that loud. It's really soft. So finally I look up, and the woman's looking right at me, and she goes, "Excuse me, I just wanted to ask you a question." I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm thinking, better not be a Jesus thing, because you have picked the wrong person. But it wasn't. She looked at us and she goes, Are the 3 of you, are you family?" And my first thought was, "You racist old cow." It's like, that's the first, it's like, oh, you married an Asian, which, coming from a woman who was black, you would think she would not be a racist. But that was my thought. I mean, it was just the way she asked it. Are you 3 family? Like she couldn't believe it or something. And I, kind of like, yes. And then she gets just like the goofiest, dumbest smile on her face. I'm like, It's just that I couldn't help noticing that all 3 of you were just sitting there looking at your phones and ignoring each other. And I looked at her point blank, and I said, "Yeah, we're just killing time before we go pick up my daughter, so that we can get all 4 of us here and we can all be looking at our phones at the same time." And I don't think she understood how to take that comment. But then I just went back to reading my phone. And of course, how fucking dare you? This is the people in front of me are transporting goldfish in a bag. That's just a non sequitur, and it's free. Before, people were staring at their phones. They were sitting in restaurants. They'd be at McDonald's in the morning, and they'd be sitting there reading their goddamn newspaper, or reading a book or whatever. This has always gone on. I don't need to be sitting there talking to my family continuously. I talk to my family a lot. And then what I don't talk to them about, they just watch this vlog and then they know what I'm thinking. But, you know, this is just part of this whole, oh, technology's evil and you shouldn't do it. Now, maybe she's going on about the whole thing about manners, but, you know, manners is a contract between the people, and, you know, fuck you, you old cow. It's none of your goddamn business what my family does. So yes, tell me how you feel about it, but it's a good thing that she definitely did not bring up Jesus. Because then I would have been less mercifully inclined towards her. But I will give the guy, then she went back to talk to the other people because they were obviously more inclined to humor her, I thought. But then they started talking, I was thinking, mentioned about the politician corruption or something like that. And the old guy, like I said, in his 60s. This woman is probably in her 40s. Okay, that was bothering me. Maybe 50, but yeah, 40s, 50s. And the other people in their 60s. Definitely older than her. And the guy says to her, and I know how he worked it in conversation, he says, well, you're old enough. I'm sure you remember FDR. And for my foreign viewers, FDR was president of the United States in the 1930s and up into part of World War II. I imagine some of you know who he was. But obviously this woman is no way old enough to remember FDR. Neither were the two people sitting at the table. Right? So, I mean, it was clearly a bitch slap to her. And the guy delivered it so beautifully. I wanted to stand up and give him a slow clap. It was beautiful. And the woman was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm not old enough. But all I'm old enough to remember is what my mama told me about FDR. Which I thought was also an incredibly weird comment. Now, this bicycle is trying to cut across the road illegally. That's just stupid. And, in fact, that's so stupid, I'm going to mark that on the camera so that I can add that in. And, but, you know, if somebody had said to me, oh, you're old enough, you remember JFK, which I'm not. Close, but I'm not. I would never say, well, I'm only old enough to remember what my father told me about him. It would be like, well, I learned about him in school. It's like, did this woman not go to school? Maybe she just learned everything from her mom, which would explain a lot. Anyway, thank you. I had to make up some time. 12 minutes of recording. I'm going to cut out that nose blowing. And maybe a sneeze or two. And I will remind you, and I'm not even going to do the pointing because I'm driving. I will remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you